Welcome to this week's edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Glasses. I am the sidekick, Glasses with Beard. That is a bit of a reference to a YouTube comment we got. This week, we're going to be talking about, well, Barry Trotz is firing, and of course, what's happened so far with the first round of the playoffs. I think it's been interesting, but there might be some discourse there. Check us out on Twitter at HockeyNoFilter. Ken, how's your week been?
Wonderful. I forgot that I was going to start calling you Glasses.
Glasses with
Glasses.
Beard. Your Glasses.
Yeah. Didn't the guy say, "Hey, Glasses, how's your prediction working out?" or something?
Yeah. And
Glasses.
Bad and then good and then bad and then good and now bad again, as the playoffs seems to be. It's
Right.
It's been an interesting playoffs.
It has been. I was a little underwhelmed by the excitement factor in the first 7 days of the playoffs.
Right.
I think last night was huge. You know, we had two really close games.
Yeah.
And another come from behind game.
Yeah.
I mean, that like I said, I mean, it was nice to see the first round of the playoffs show up last night. You know what I mean? Like It was like that. You know, I mean, this Tampa-Toronto series is completely opposite to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought Tampa was going to win. I thought it was going to be, they were going to win in 5 and every game was going to be close.
Yeah.
But the polar opposite has happened. The series is close, but the games aren't. Up until last night.
Right.
And I mean, you know, you're like one Jack Campbell save away from that getting out of control last night too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see the first round that we know and love, and all the unpredictability and the comebacks and the craziness that we've come to expect from the first round. I'm glad that kind of made itself apparent last night.
Made itself evident.
Yeah.
You know how we sometimes joke that we share a brain?
Yeah.
And that, you know, it has to be somebody gets it one week and the other person gets it the other week.
Yep.
That seems to be like Toronto and Tampa with talent right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just sharing the talent. And it's like, okay, tonight, you know, Point and Kucherov and Stamkos and Vasilevsky are going to be the best 3 hockey players you've seen in your life. Tomorrow night goes back to Matthews, and Nylander's had a fantastic series.
Nylander was the best player on the ice last night.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and it wasn't terribly close. I thought Nylander was brilliant last night.
So why don't we start off with the Toronto-Tampa Bay series? And
okay.
I gave you a little bit of homework, which was
right.
These teams in one word. We will obviously expand upon that.
Right.
But
yeah.
Okay, done. 3-minute podcast. We're out of here. We do have a live watch along.
See ya.
Yeah. Wrap up the cue music. All right. So Toronto in a word.
Okay, well, I want to preface this. I tried in a couple of areas, and I don't know how this is going to work. Okay. But in a couple of areas, I tried to sort of do a play on names. Okay. So with Toronto, I've got jacked. They're jacked.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
And I mean that in the sense that, you know, Jack Campbell.
Yeah, well, I picked up on that.
Yes. I mean, he hasn't been great in this series, and he really wasn't that good until last night. But he saved the series for the Maple Leafs so far. Like he was the one that he let in 2 goals on his first 4 shots, and then he shut it down. He stopped Nick Paul on a breakaway. He stopped Braden Point. I think Braden Point on a breakaway. He stopped like 3 or 4 breakaways. He was excellent. He gave them a chance to find their feet, get back in the game, and really sort of just chip away at that. And you could tell that they were just finding their feet, and they were sort of starting to take over the game in the second period.
He was almost like a salary cap era Grant Fuhr. he'll let in 2, but he won't let in the third.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and
the 80s being 5 goals to win a game, now being more like 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything that happens in Toronto is a referendum on their core 4, right? Like good, bad, or otherwise, it's always, they've got 50% of their salary cap tied up in 4 guys. Can they win this way? Can they get past the first round this way? Last night, their core 4 was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you signed these guys.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, the GM went out and signed these guys. The GM stuck his neck out on the Jack Campbell situation, right? And made him the guy, and he was rewarded last night. I don't know if they're gonna win this series. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I wouldn't be surprised if they lay 2 eggs and go out in 7. But right now, they've got some good mojo going for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you want to look back on our last full episode's predictions, but I gave the Toronto Maple Leafs, I gave them 48% chance to win. So I gave Tampa Bay 52% chance for those that don't like subtraction.
Right. Math is hard.
Math is hard. And you gave Tampa 58%. So it's not like either of us were like, you know, super like, Tampa's going to run away with it.
Right.
We both predicted Tampa, but they were very milquetoast predictions, if you will.
I thought it was going to be a short series, but a close series.
Right.
Like a couple of overtime games.
Yeah.
You know, 1-goal games, maybe an empty net here or there.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be 5 very close games, and it's been 4 ridiculously lopsided games and 1 really close game.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. And Jack Campbell's being completely out of sorts at times. He's been fine at times, but and similar, like, you know, the story in game 1 was Marner got his groove back, and the story in game 2 was trade the bum.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I guess this is the nature of the team. It's the nature of hockey, really, is that there's no superstar that's scoring every single night. I mean, it's like Connor McDavid. There's no bigger superstar in the game, and yet not scoring every single night.
He was ridiculous last night, though.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Tampa Bay Lightning. What's your word for the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Marooned.
Well done.
Well, I'm trying.
It's done.
Yeah, it's not going to be that good the whole way through. I can tell you right now. And they're not like, I tried to do them all on players, but it's really hard. But anyways, and when I say marooned, I mean tired. They look tired. Yeah. And Sheldon Keefe said it last night. He said you could tell in the second period. He said they were getting tired, and we were talking about it on the bench. We were coming at them, and they just sort of wore down and let the Leafs take the game over. I mean, they had that game. Yeah. You know, and you know, John Cooper's still maintaining that they're giving it to Toronto, and he might be right. You know, that it's more the way they've played than it has been the way the Leafs have played. And he might be right about that. And, you know, can a team turn it around like that? Yeah. And in 2 games, flip the script from what it was in game 5? Absolutely. Yeah. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning, and if there's a team that can do it, it's this one.
Right.
And now we're going to see because the Leafs have been in this position before. Yeah. You know, they were up 3-1 on
They've been in a better position before.
Exactly. They were up 3-1 on the worst team in the playoffs last year. You know, and they watched it slip away, and game 7 was an abomination. Yeah. It was an abomination. They were terrible in game 7. So, I mean, I'm still in you got to do it.
A good friend of mine who's a big Leafs fan said that game 7 last year was the most zen that he's ever been in a loss, because he said, I just knew it, and I was completely resigned to it. He said, I'd put the game on the TV, but I was washing dishes and doing different things and just puttering, because he just knew it, right? He just knew it. And he said he felt completely zen and at peace. It just made me think of, you know, the executioner in The Last Meal and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they've been in a better position before, but I almost wonder if the fact that they're in close and in tight with possibly the best team in the league. Maybe not.
Oh, the best team that they've ever had.
I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, I see. Okay,
they're tight. They're in close. This is a different situation as opposed to kind of falling asleep at the wheel.
It's different than 2020 when in the bubble, when you're in the bubble and there's nobody in the crowd and you go down 3-0 to Columbus in Game 4.
Yeah.
And you come back and win. And then you drop the bomb in Game 5, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels different this time. Like it's not the same. I mean, Columbus, Tampa Bay is not Columbus. You're earning it against, as you say, one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
And I just, I can't get a handle on this series. I was convinced that Tampa was going to win last night before the game. I just felt it. And
but I thought it was Toronto's turn.
For 20 minutes, it really did look like that was going to happen. And it looked like I remember after the first intermission, we were sitting there talking about, okay, so once the Leafs lose a series, do they fire Sheldon Keefe and throw a Brinks truck at Barry Trotz?
Yeah.
Like that was the whole dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And then, now the switch has been flipped.
The switch has indeed been flipped. You wrote an article as well about that last night on your Substack, kencampbell.substack.com. Mm-hmm. You should definitely give that a look, give that a subscribe. If you're listening to this podcast and are unfamiliar with Ken's writing, then definitely do that. And of course, check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts. And tonight, if you're listening to this Wednesday, then tonight, and if you're listening to this Thursday, then also tonight yeah. We will be on the Hockey Podcast Network, which we are affiliated with, and we will be on their YouTube channel doing a live watch along for the Pittsburgh Penguins Rangers games Wednesday. I put an S. I put S's on the ends of things that don't require it.
That's because there's some Latvian in your genealogy.
I haven't done one of those genealogy tests, but I can tell you, it's there's not Latvian. I can tell you, it's like Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
Okay, or not.
You don't want to do a full segment on my on my family's history? Okay, then there you go.
Nope.
Anyways, yeah, check us out. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Like, I don't even know what this thing is tonight that we're doing. Like this, I've never been a part of anything like this before. So
I'll do play-by-play and you'll do color.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, baby. I'm ready. I'll get all the names wrong.
He was Johnny on the spot there, wasn't he?
Put a little too much mustard on it. All right. Well, let's move on to Colorado Avalanche. In a word. Is it just Avalanche?
Well, it's that. Yeah. I was trying for a kale reference or something. I just
superfood.
Yeah. I just came up with clinical. Like they just took Nashville apart.
Yeah, it was just another day at the office.
It was, and you know what? That you can tell this is a team that's, and I talk about it all the time, the kick in the pills.
Yeah.
They've had it. And they're and they had it last year, and they're not gonna let it happen again.
Yeah.
They're just not gonna let it happen again. There is just a machine-like efficiency to this team.
Yeah.
That like they just go out and they just dismantle the opposition. They're not exciting. Like they don't have a bunch of, characters on the team or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty bland when it comes down to it. But
Makar is.
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of their sort of not their on ice identity, their off ice identity. Yeah, they're not super like outrageous, and they don't have like you don't see Colorado walking around with a big swagger. You know what I mean? Like they don't have swagger.
Yeah.
They just play, right?
Yeah,
and they just win, and they just dismantle teams. And that was clinical. It was clinical.
I don't know why I've stolen this Saturday Night Live joke like twice in the last 2 weeks, but it almost just feels like that cowbell skit where it's just like, fellas, we're the Colorado Avalanche. We're just like any other team. We put on our pants one leg at a time.
Yeah.
Once our pants are on, we go out and win games.
Yeah.
It's just it just feels like a like just a fact of nature, another day at the office. I completely agree. I was like completely checked out of the series. I would watch a period or half a period of a game here and there, and I didn't watch a full game until the elimination game. And credit to the Predators. They battled. They put up a fight.
Yeah, they battled. You
know, but like it almost, you know what it looked like? You know, when you get an undercard fight in boxing and somebody has to back out and then they bring in some club fighter that just gets dismantled.
Yeah.
And the real fighter that's been training for a full year for this fight, you know, he doesn't normally go all out. He's not normally throwing huge haymakers going for a knockout, but it's just at no point were they against the ropes. At no point did they not control the center of the ring. At no point did they take a punch that, you know, that they weren't expecting. And that's what it looked like for Colorado.
And I mean, even their number one goalie went down, and you know,
I
mean, he struggled. Francouz struggled in Game 4, but they managed to pull it out.
I mean, I don't know even if those goals would be considered bad goals. They weren't good, but I wouldn't I don't look at that and go, oh, there's your struggling backup goalie. I just look at that and go, what it is. So, okay. Nashville Predators.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
But they were the authors of their own unluckiness. They've been the authors of their own unluckiness. All they had to do in order to avoid Colorado on the last day of the season was beat the Arizona Coyotes in a game that they were up 4-0 in the first period.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Then you collapse, you lose that game, you drop into the second wild card, and suddenly you're playing Colorado instead of Calgary. I don't know if it would have made much of a difference. It would have been a better matchup for Nashville. Calgary, they actually played a couple of games at the end of the year that were really close and really competitive. And so I do think that Calgary, that Nashville would have had a better fate against Calgary. I don't know if they would have won, but I don't think they would have gotten swept. But you know, I mean, you don't take care of business on the last day of the season when you're up 4-0 in the first period and you lose to Arizona.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, okay, so there you go. You get to have your lunch handed to you. You get to waste 8 days. I don't even know if it was 8. Like, remember Daryl Sutter said playing Colorado in the first round would be a waste of 8 days? I don't think he was right. I think it might have been 7.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, So
they went out in 7 days. When you said unlucky, I thought you were going to talk about UC Saros.
Yeah,
because I mean, like, that's like Saros might have gotten them a game, and you know, I don't. And then that's the gentleman's sweep, right? Is if your goalie can steal you a game, and
the gentleman's sweep. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a term, right? I didn't just make that up.
I don't know. I've never heard it before.
Oh, well.
But it's pretty cool. If
you've probably forgotten more terms in hockey than I'll ever.
That's right. I've been around so long, I've never understood how that can be a good thing. I've been around so long, I've forgotten more than you know. Yeah, no, that's just stupid.
You should have done that hee-haw joke with the census guy asked me how old I am, and I didn't want to tell him my name, so I said, you know the old Hills sisters that live over yonder? I'm the same age as them. And he said, okay, you're as old as the Hills.
Oh God.
Wah wah wah. All right, let's go to the Florida Panthers.
Skittish.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's my word for the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Skittish.
Yeah.
It looks like the moment's too big for them.
It does look like that.
And I mean, this is a team that was like scoring tons of goals.
Yeah.
And they're 5-on-5. They haven't done much.
Yeah.
Their power play hasn't been good.
Yeah.
They just look like a team that's not ready for this level of competition.
Yeah. So I remember in our preseason prediction, you were talking about being concerned about the goaltending for the Florida Panthers. And my response was, yeah, but they only have to be better than Samsonov.
Right.
I'm looking pretty stupid for that one now, aren't I? Like it just, I didn't like, I just thought that, okay, Bobrovsky's floor. Anyways, it's just, it's bizarre. Like here's just a quick stat. The Florida Panthers have a 57% Corsi for, which is excellent. They're controlling tons of the shot attempts, but only a 53% actual expected goals for, meaning that their actual shots and shot attempts are not high danger, not high risk, not in good situations.
Right.
And like, all due respect to Washington, we're not talking about a Barry Trotz coach team here.
No, we're talking about an old, slow team with goaltending issues.
Right.
You're not bringing it. If you're Florida, you're just not bringing it.
Yeah.
And what I will say about the Florida Panthers though is I don't know if they're going to win this series. Yeah. I have no idea whether they're going to win this series.
Yeah.
They were one late last minute goal away from being down 3-1 in this series.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to win. But if they do, they may be unstoppable in the East. Because then you get your wake-up call.
Right.
Then you got your wake-up call and you go, okay, we didn't play anywhere near what we're capable of playing, the way we're capable of playing.
Yeah.
But yet we managed to pull it out. We managed to win this one.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get our stuff together,
So as much as I just chided myself about the goaltending thing, I will say this before we get on to Washington. I talked about how I thought that Ovi was going to be an absolute beast.
He's got one goal. He's got one goal in this series.
No, but I mean, like his physical play.
Yeah.
That was what I was more thinking about in terms of countering Florida's, big, heavy defense core.
Yeah.
So it's, anyways, it's been a very surprising series. I mean, here, like our playoff prediction, you gave Florida 80% to win. I gave them 75% to win.
Right. This was,
and I don't think that we were wrong. Like we weren't crazy.
No, this was the one to me that was the biggest slam dunk.
Yeah.
This was the slam dunk this series. Yeah.
Well, no, we both gave Colorado in the 90%.
Oh yeah, right.
Chance. So that was
in the East. The East. This was as close to a sure thing in the East as you were going to find.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But kudos to Washington.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just Florida collapsing. This is Washington seizing an opportunity. And so tell us your word for Washington.
It's just, huh? How is this happening?
Yeah.
How is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you talk about the Saturday Night Live skit. There was an old one back in the 80s.
The Fish-O-Matic 3000.
When Michael Dukakis was running against George Bush for the presidency and got just clobbered.
Right.
And they were having a debate and George Bush is just giving all this gibberish. And I think it was Dana Carvey doing George Bush.
Right.
And he was just giving all this gibberish. And Michael Dukakis looks at the screen and goes, I can't believe I'm losing to this guy. And it's like, that's where I'm at. Like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's as good a word as any for the Washington Capitals, who
I mean, it's not like they're still old, they're still slow, and their goaltending is still suspect. Like
they've had to use both goalies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because what's the other guy's name there? I thought that they were going to start with Samsonov. Right. And they ended up starting with Vanacek, and then they've gone to Samsonov. Like if you said before the series, this is like one of my favorite hypotheticals. If you told me before the series,
right,
what would you think?
Right.
If you told me that Jack Campbell before the Leaf series had like a 920 or something like that.
He doesn't though. He doesn't.
He?
He's got like an 895 total. It's just last night.
Okay. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm obviously conflating something here, but my point is that if you told me at the beginning of the series that Washington was going to be switching their goaltenders, then you'd say that it's because Florida's picking them apart handily and they don't know where to go.
Right.
But they've been fine, to be honest. Even before they went to Samsonov, it was. I actually thought that they kind of made the change a little quicker than I would have expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the
games they've won. The games
cards.
Washington has won have been like routes.
Yeah.
Routes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've they've shown that they've got something to play for still. And you were really down on them and I was a little down on them. And but the bottom line is that it's really not what either of us suspected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, before we move on to the next thing, don't forget to check out our live streams, Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Check out kencampbell.substack.com. You can get this podcast directly in your inbox, as well as Ken's writing, which is almost as entertaining as Ken speaking.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
You're a character on the sheet as well.
That's what she said.
On the sheet.
On the sheets.
Barely made a wrinkle. Okay, well, let's go on to another series that is a little the Minnesota Wild versus the St. Louis Blues. So let's start with Minnesota. What's your word for Minnesota?
Fialing.
Did you send that metaphor to Guantanamo Bay to get tortured? Like, what did you do there? Wow.
That's it's sort of like failing, but you're failing.
Failing. Believe it or not, I cracked that nut. Yeah. I had to bring out the Enigma machine to crack it, but believe it or not, it was within the realm of possibility to figure out failing.
Yeah. But actually, it's not even his fault. He's been good. He's been good. I said before this series, and you can go to kencampbell.com and check my
easy with the self plug there, buddy. Yeah. I was worried your head would get a little big if I kept on plugging your work.
You can go back to my playoff preview, and I said of the St. Louis Blues Minnesota Wild series, I picked St. Louis.
You did,
and I said,
and I picked Minnesota,
and I said that Kirill Kaprizov was going to be otherworldly in this series, but it wasn't going to be enough.
Okay, so I've got the predictions here in front of me.
Right.
You picked St. Louis, but you weren't entirely sure of that slam dunk. You gave them 51%.
No. Yeah.
I picked Minnesota 65%. I was very high on Minnesota, and maybe just very high.
Maybe.
Small chance, but
we stopped for Timmy's, but there's a cannabis store right beside Timmy's.
I don't know if you've noticed this in Scarborough, Ken. There's a cannabis store everywhere.
Yeah.
There's maybe more.
Yeah, it's like Starbucks in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Vancouver for the World Juniors, and this is not hyperbole. I'm not kidding. I was at a busy intersection, and there was a Starbucks at all four corners.
Yeah. That's like the Lewis Black routine. I knew that at the end of the world, I walked out of a Starbucks and I looked across the street and there was the same Starbucks. And that's how the world ends. The Minnesota Wild, you said, like you mentioned, you said Kaprizov is going to be a beast and it's not going to be enough. And, I mean, is it too simple to say, is it goaltending that's sinking them right now?
I don't think goaltending's sinking them, but it's not buoying them either. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury's been okay.
Yeah.
He's been good.
Yeah.
He hasn't been great.
Yeah.
He's been okay. And like, did Cam Talbot lose a game in the last 2 months of the season? Like, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure you don't just pull the pin and go to him at some point. Well, like right now.
Yeah.
When you're down 3-2.
I mean, so I have the benefit of not knowing anybody personally in the hockey world. So I can say whatever I want.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. You obviously say whatever you want.
You're not big on Marc-Andre Fleury. You've never been, I don't think.
No, I'm not. I think I'm not big on Marc-Andre Fleury. But what I was going to say was that there is pressure to play a player that the GM circled.
Yeah.
And took. Now, I don't know what the working situation is. I'm not saying that Bill Guerin's bullying anybody or anything like that. But
I don't think he is.
No, he doesn't strike me as that kind of person.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that your GM went out and got Marc-Andre Fleury for the playoffs. There is pressure on that situation if you're the coach to be starting Marc-Andre Fleury. Mm-hmm. Look, it took like 2 years for Montreal to realize that Alzner was not cutting it.
Right.
And it's because the GM went and pulled the trigger on Karl Alzner. And, anyways, that's not to, go too deep into that, but I'm just saying that there is pressure, whether spoken or unspoken, Are you just checking out the gun show? You're just trying to.
No, I'm just trying to fix my.
The bicep is so big,
here.
it's pushing up
popping
the sleeve.
out. Yeah, no question.
So that's what I think in terms of going to Cam Talbot. It would be a hard thing for the coach to do, and it might cause some sort of rift.
Are you worried about that at this point, though? Like, really? I mean, your season's on the line.
Yeah.
You lose one more game. The guy's Marc-Andre Fleury is an unrestricted free agent, and he either stays or goes. But whatever. Like,
yeah.
Are you worried about that at this point? And it's not like Marc-Andre Fleury hasn't been screwed over before. He's kind of used to it.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, maybe I should be less talking about Bill Guerin and more Alan Walsh. Anybody that refers to themselves in the third person as a provocateur.
I like Alan.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's a good man.
Okay, good.
I like guys who stand up for their players, and he really advocates for his players.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Which is why, and I'm going off on another tangent here, which is why Alan Walsh will be a serious candidate to be the next executive director of the NHL Players Association.
I really wondered that.
He will be. He will be. I'm telling you right now. There's a short list right now of about 5 people. It's and we're just veering right off here, but it's Glenn Healy, Matthew Schneider, Alan Walsh, Ian Pulver, and I can't remember who the 5th guy is.
Yeah.
I think it's actually going to probably be Ian Pulver.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be a real push from some of the segment of the players that really, like, I'm not sure Alan Walsh wants the job, but it may be like, you need to take this job. You know what I mean? And so, So anyways, that's a nice little tangent we went off on there. There's added value. That's added value in listening to this podcast.
Or an active detriment. You know, take your pick.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna move us on.
Go, yeah.
Is that okay?
It's fine. Yeah,
all right.
It's fine.
You want to talk about another agent?
No.
Okay. All right. So Pat Brisson, the St. Louis Blues, in a word.
What do I have for St. Louis? O'Reilly.
O'Reilly has been
a beast.
Fan freaking tastic.
Are you surprised by this?
No. Okay. Yes and no.
No.
Can I say why?
Why would you
yes
ever be surprised by that?
Just because, look, he is a incredible playoff performer. He is maybe one of the guys that can elevate his game the most in the playoffs that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's able to do that so much does come as a surprise to me. And it's not because I don't know it. You don't
think Ryan O'Reilly was going through this season going, we'll just make sure we're ready for May 1st.
Did it surprise you how Carey Price played in the playoffs last year?
Wow, that's a good question.
Because Carey Price had 3 bad years in a row.
Yeah.
No, 2 bad.
Yeah.
The bubble and then that.
But Ryan O'Reilly wasn't that bad this year. He wasn't bad. He wasn't even bad.
But I'm just saying that it's a surprise. It was a surprise to even me how well Carey Price did in the playoffs, despite knowing that he's got a history of poor regular seasons and exceptional playoff performances. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like you still try to glean information out of the regular season, even though there's not as much to glean. But it does constantly come as a surprise to me just how much of a beast Ryan O'Reilly can be. Well, to the
me,
playoffs.
To me, it's him, and it's Tarasenko. It's David Perron.
David Perron's had a great series.
Yeah, like you're not looking at Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas as the guys. And that seemed to be the narrative this year, was that those guys were the guys that were driving the bus here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were the offensive drivers, and they were the drivers for this team.
Yeah.
But now that we've gotten to the point where it's a completely different game, you've got, those old war horses who are really bringing it.
Yeah. The old battle axes.
Yeah. Like it's really interesting to see.
Yeah. Dallas is the same way. now.
Yeah, I'll give you my word for them in a minute.
Second. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I agree with you. St. Louis, they took me by surprise. They
didn't take me by surprise. I picked them to win the series.
I know, but I definitely thought that if Ville Husso was out and Binnington was in, I thought that they were in.
Yeah, how's that working out? How's that working out?
It's working out just fine for them. But I thought that they would be in Dutch.
Okay.
No, trying to borrow from an archaic expression.
Yeah.
Trouble in Dutch.
Yeah. It's so archaic. I don't even know what you're talking about. So
you never heard the term in Dutch?
I've heard of it, but I don't.
You got yourself in Dutch?
Okay.
I don't get it either. Thought you would.
Right.
All right. So Carolina Hurricanes.
Homies. Won every game at home.
Sorry? Yeah.
Yeah. They're 3-0 at home, 0-2 on the road.
Yeah.
And I just think it's amazing how Tony DeAngelo just loves wearing the black hat. He just loves wearing the black hat. Did you hear his interview last night between periods?
I didn't hear his interview. I don't listen to player interviews all that much.
Yeah, he's talking to Emily Kaplan and he's going, yeah, we're on top of pucks. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're doing this. We're working our balls off. And then he goes, excuse me. I mean, he's one of those guys that he's not uncomfortable being the center of attention for bad reasons. And he was
no kidding.
He was good last night. He had 3 points.
He had a fantastic night last night. I gotta say, between Max Domi, Tony DeAngelo, and Brad Marchand, are basically 3 of the most hated NHL players in this series.
Is Domi that hated?
I think
I think you have to be relevant to be hated, and I don't think Domi's relevant enough to be hated.
Yeah,
I don't think he's relevant enough anymore.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. But it's
But this whole Marchand and DeAngelo thing is fascinating.
Oh, I know,
it's fascinating.
There's an expression in video games, and it used to be in the old Goldeneye, those games, right? Called the double kill, where you both shoot each other at the exact same time and you both die at the exact same time. Don't you think that just half the hockey world is just waiting for a double kill with DeAngelo and Marchand?
But Marchand actually,
they both swiped each other's Achilles at the exact same time, and bam, they're both done.
But Marchand has managed to do Marchand has managed to do something in this series that he's never been able to do before, and that is to get people liking him and in his corner.
I know.
Because Tony DeAngelo is an easy guy to hate.
Yeah.
He's a really easy guy to hate.
There was every year they have the president's gala with the media and stuff like that.
Yeah, the writers in
the States, right?
Yeah, they just had it last week.
I remember in one that George W. Bush was a part of, and he was talking about something to do with there was the rift with the lawyers and stuff like that, and he goes, boy, you blow it when people are taking the lawyer's side. So it's boy, you're hated when people are taking Marchand's side.
Yeah, when people are seeing Brad Marchand as the protagonist, wow.
The anti-hero story.
Yeah.
Before we get off of Carolina, I've got to ask this because I've been kicking this around in my mind. Maybe we will put it up on as a Twitter poll on Hockey Unfiltered on Twitter. But how if Frederik Andersen becomes healthy, do you pull Ronta for Andersen?
No.
And how much of a leash does Ronta have before Andersen?
Not a huge one.
Yeah.
But Freddie Andersen is not playoff tested.
Antti Ranta's been one of the best stories.
Hey, what's he got, an 846? No, or 946. Sorry, no, I meant to say 946.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, but he's thrown up he's thrown up at least a 940 right now.
He's having an incredible playoffs.
But he's good. He's always been good.
Yeah, no, he's always been good, but he's not been this good.
Yeah.
And he's listed as 6 feet. I bet you he's shorter than 6 feet.
I saw him. I've seen him in the dressing room in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't strike you as being 6 feet.
He's my height, isn't he?
No, I think he's a little, how tall are you?
5'10".
Probably somewhere between, but yeah.
Yeah, because all I know is
he doesn't have your body type. I know that much.
Yeah, well, I've got the body type of the Anton Khudobin, the Robin Leonard,
just not the talent.
Just a pile of concrete. It's not the talent. What I know is that when I see Ronta lean against his net, I go, well, that's about the same leaning position as I have against my net.
Okay.
And I'm like, there's no way he's 6 feet. But he is playing just completely out of his mind. And it's just like, again, if you were to tell me that Carolina, that Antti Ronta is playing completely out of his mind,
you wouldn't have listened to our podcast. That's what you would have said. Because remember Don Waddell? He was right.
Don Waddell was right. Yeah. No, Don Waddell was right. But I'm just saying, if you told me that Antti Ronta is playing completely out of his mind, you'd think that Carolina would be walking away with the series.
I'm not convinced that the injury to Frederik Andersen is not the best thing that could have happened to Carolina. Yeah. I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
I mean, now they have an excuse. Like, You're not going to take Ronta out now. No chance.
Anderson's probably been healthy for a week.
Yeah. There's no chance.
Yeah. It's just, I've loved watching him play, even just the way that he's doing it.
Yeah.
Even just the way that he's doing it has just been wild. I think I texted you or called you at one point. I said, does every member of the Boston Bruins become Chris Kreider?
Yeah.
It just seemed like they're just all going after goalies. But all right, so let's get on to that other team, the Boston Bruins. What's your word for the Bruins?
I have a hyphenated word, top heavy.
Top heavy.
Yeah, they're top heavy.
Yeah.
And that's all they are. That's all they are.
Yeah.
And Bruce Cassidy talked about it. He said, I think he referred to them as the middle of the order. They have to do stuff. They have to bring it.
Yeah.
Like Eric Alla has no goals.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall has 2 goals.
Yeah. And he's looked very ordinary.
Marcus Foligno's done nothing.
He hit someone last night.
Yeah. Okay. Those, like he said, those middle of the order guys. Craig Smith, guy who's really good in the regular season.
Nick Foligno.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Marcus Foligno.
I meant Nick Foligno.
I knew that was sitting weird in my mind for...
Nick Foligno's done nothing. Eric Hall has done nothing.
And you know what's funny? It was the Marcus Foligno hit that I was actually thinking of in my mind.
Right, okay. Craig Smith has done nothing.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall is being Taylor Hall.
Charlie
Coyle's been okay, but,
Yeah, but I mean,
he really stepped up in the regular season.
You need your second line center in the playoffs. Yep. You do. Even if you get past this round, you then face either the New York Rangers or the Pittsburgh Penguins. And especially if it's the Penguins, you need your second line center.
Because they've got a good one.
He's not bad.
Yep.
He's not what he was, but by golly, he ain't bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you picked the Boston Bruins. You didn't give them a huge advantage. You gave them 53%, and I gave Carolina 52%.
Okay.
How are you feeling about that?
Not good.
No, you think that Carolina is going to take it at this point? Or
I do. Yeah. It's got that feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Bruins are like, in the back of their minds, it's like, even if we get out of this round, like, really, are we going to make noise?
Yeah.
With only 3 guys producing? No.
Yeah. I mean,
losing Charlie McAvoy was huge for them too.
The flip side of that, though, yes, it was huge.
Yeah.
And they did actually quite well without him. The flip side of that, though, is that I don't think that either the New York Rangers or the Pittsburgh Penguins are as good as the Carolina Hurricanes.
Okay.
Would you disagree with that?
I don't think the New York Rangers are.
Right. The Pittsburgh Penguins have the potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hockey fans, the pursuit for the Stanley Cup is on, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has an unbelievable offer for the most exciting playoffs in sports. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what, win or lose. Looking to turn a small bet into a big payday during the playoffs? With DraftKings same-game parlays, you can do just that. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets, like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more. It's your shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply.
All right, let's...
Which one are we going on to now?
What do you say to the Calgary Flames?
Impotent.
Yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau, 13 shots, 1 goal. Michael Backlund, 12 shots, 1 goal. Tyler Toffoli, 13 shots, 0 goals. Andrew Mangiapane, 0 goals. Somebody else, I don't know who else I wrote down there, but 0 goals.
I joked about Johnny Gaudreau being shut down in the playoffs before, and I was talking about it in respect to Austin Matthews and how, I felt that Matthews on the role that he was on would be harder to shut down in the playoffs than a guy like Johnny Gaudreau, and feeling pretty good about that. But yeah, he
was really not a factor in the first couple of games, but then he really, like game 3 and 4.
Yeah,
he might have been the best player on either team in both of those games. He was really, really good.
I mean, the thing that strikes me about the Calgary Flames, I didn't really watch the first game, I don't think, because I just felt that Calgary was just going to walk over Dallas, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't a series that interested me all that much, and then all of a sudden I went, I better start paying attention to this series because it's becoming something. The games are a little low event.
I think they're
on the boring side.
I disagree. I think they're good.
Yeah, you're enjoying them?
I'm enjoying them because it's these guys are playing some big boy hockey. These guys are playing big boy hockey.
Yeah.
And I like watching that. I like watching goals, but I also like watching games where you've got to earn every inch of the ice. Matthew Tkachuk, no goals. Forgot. Yeah. And so I actually like watching this series, and I think it's been actually fairly entertaining from that respect.
Yeah.
The goaltenders have both been amazing.
Yeah.
They've both been outstanding. So I'm actually liking that series. I'm liking it.
The thing about the Calgary Flames is that they were a team that was just so well balanced in terms of everything.
Yeah.
Whether you want to talk about their balance up and down the lineup for player talent, or you want to talk about their balance for defense and offense, and transferring defense to offense, or transferring from their offense back to their defense.
Yeah.
They were just so frighteningly good at all of it. And Dallas mucked up their offense.
Yeah.
Okay, so good for Dallas. That's kind of their MO, right? Dallas mucked up their offense, and it almost seemed to muck up their defense too, because they're not looking like that scary Daryl Sutter defensive team right now.
Well, this series, there's less room for error in this series than any other series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the way I like to say it is it's not tight. It's hermetically sealed. This series, it's a really, really tight series.
The one thing that I will say, and obviously the answer to both these questions becomes obvious, but the Calgary Flames have the best Corsi for percentage in the playoffs right now.
Good for them.
And the Dallas Stars have the worst. The Dallas Stars have under 40% of the shot attempts, which is shockingly low. And it's, but again, it's these shot attempts they're ineffectual. They are, to use your word, they're impotent. Yeah. They're firing blanks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the Dallas Stars.
Mature. That's what I like to say about the Dallas Stars. They're mature. They're playing a very mature game.
Yeah, well, I thought you meant because they're just mature.
Yeah, that too. Their
dating profile says mature.
Yeah.
Distinguished gentlemen is what they are.
They are, and mature in terms of like the big boy hockey again. They've put their work boots on.
They really have.
They've put their work boots on. They know what they're facing. They know how to play this opponent. They know what's going to work against them.
Yeah.
And they're doing it. And that's the sign of a team, I think, that is sort of comfortable enough in its own skin to know what it is.
Yeah.
And to just not be apologetic for it. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it might work like it did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we might make it to the final. We're not going to win it. We're not winning. But we're going to be a tough out. We're going to be a really, really, really tough out.
The thing about the
like
Dallas
Radulov's,
Stars,
Alexander Radulov's blocking shots and throwing himself in front of pucks, and like it's crazy.
Yeah, he had a long chat with John Tortorella or something.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about the Dallas Stars, well, and to your point about Radulov blocking shots, I mean, like he's not had a great year.
No,
and so he's in a situation where if he wants to redeem himself and he wants to redeem his team, that he's got to have those work boots on. And the thing about the Dallas Stars is that they play a style like the New York Islanders did in their heyday, but they have so much more offensive talent than the New York Islanders ever did. Like the Islanders, I was always shocked. It's like, where do the goals even come from?
What are you talking about? Like in their heyday?
Sorry. I mean, their recent heyday.
Yeah. Like, okay, define
I've
heyday.
heard of Mike Bossy, just so that we're clear. Yeah. No, I'm talking about their recent heyday under Barry Trotz.
Right.
Where you've got like Anders Lee, and you're like, Jordan Eberle, I guess. But
Matt Barzal,
Barzal. But the reality is that like, Joe Pavelski, and Robertson and Radulov, Sagan, Ben, like it's like, they're not all necessarily producing at that elite offensive level.
Well, Pavelski is. He's got 3.
Pavelski is. But
Robertson isn't. Yeah.
No, but they're not all producing at that elite offensive level. But their ability to take advantage, right, with the counterattack, the whole, counterattack thing, their ability to be able to take advantage of their counterattack is so much more potent because they have... Right, because Calgary's impotent. This is potent.
Right.
It's so much more potent because of that incredible offensive.
This is This is hard to play.
Yeah,
like I can't imagine that this is like that. The Dallas Stars are saying, "Man, are we ever having fun? Man, are we having a good time?
Never felt so bad to win.
This is so great. Like, oh my God, we're swashbuckling like crazy.
Yeah.
No, they are just. It's hard to play that style. It's really hard to play that way. And I give the Dallas Stars a lot of credit for sticking with it.
I think that the winner of this series crushes the next team that they face, either Oilers or LA. Just seeing how they have played against each other.
Yeah,
I just can't help but to think that the next team that they face gets crushed.
I'm back.
And we're back. That's my drawer, man.
I had to put it somewhere.
I've got electronics in there.
Okay.
I've got a battery charging right now in there. All right. Okay. So up next on Ken Treats My Beautiful Woodshop / Studio.
Yeah. That's his own recycling bin.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the New York Rangers. Before we get off of the Dallas Stars and Calgary Flames, you gave Calgary 65% chance to win. Yeah. I gave Calgary 80% chance to win. Wow. It's just what a series. What a surprising series.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the New York Rangers, and of course
I almost picked Dallas in that series. I almost picked Dallas.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I didn't have the cojones to do it. So
well, I'll tell you, this series is defined by cojones.
Exactly.
Is really what it is. But before we get on to the next one, kencampbell.substack.com. Check us out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. These go up as clips on YouTube, so you can see each one individually if you're only interested in hearing 5 or 10 minutes of us, which I understand.
I get it.
I get it. Small doses. Yeah. New York Rangers, in a word.
Okay, this is my best one.
Oh, really?
This is my best one.
Should we have saved it?
No.
All right.
No, we should have led with it. Zabana bad.
That's not your best one.
No way. That's awesome.
No, the Fiala.
Well, wait till you get to Edmonton. Well, you might not like the Edmonton one either if you didn't like Zabana bad.
Okay.
But like all the metrics told us.
Yeah.
And we should have known. All the metrics told us.
I picked Pittsburgh.
That the Rangers were a porous defensive team.
Yeah.
That gives up huge chances. But oh my Lord. Like I cannot believe there's no gap. These Pittsburgh forwards are standing in front of the net. Like, have you seen how many pucks they've tipped?
Yeah.
Like it's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you knew it was going to be the case, but yet I'm still amazed that they are this bad defensively.
So your fake nephew, Paul Campbell, writer for In Goal magazine, used to call John Gibson poor John Gibson.
Yeah.
Because he said no goalie was so good and would look so out of breath at the end of every play. It's just poor John Gibson. And Igor Shesterkin, man. Poor Igor Shesterkin. It's like...
But he's flailing around too.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah.
You know, he stopped 77 shots. That game murdered Casey DeSmith.
Yeah.
Who stopped the last shots?
Murdered him.
Who stopped the last shots?
Fewer shots.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I take this criticism to heart, if not to head. Anyways, whatever. The New York Rangers, man, every gun expression, they were a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
You know the etymology of that?
No, but don't tell me because it's going to take too long.
They went off half cocked. Do you know the etymology of that?
Well, it's a gun thing, but I don't know. I mean, your gun is half cocked. No, I don't.
Yeah, half cocked is like it was the safety of the old revolvers and full cocked.
Yeah, okay.
They glass cannon.
Yeah.
They just my word. How can a team have that much talent and be so bad? And by the way, and it should be mentioned, a coach that I really, really like in Gerard Gallant.
What happened to that light?
It must have run out of batteries. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just a little darker.
Okay.
Anyways, and a coach that I really, really like in Gerard Gallant that I think is a very smart, bright fella. And so every piece is there. Put it in the centrifuge.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, well.
Mix it up and have it come out right. Actually, centrifuges separate things.
Doesn't that separate? Yeah.
Whoops.
Okay, so
up next on Chemistry for Hockey.
So the Rangers are I guess we're not supposed to be surprised by this.
I wasn't hugely surprised. I took the Penguins at 55%, and you took the Rangers at 55%.
Okay.
So neither of us were hugely.
Yep.
So actually, let's get to the Penguins. Tell me the Penguins word.
Proud.
That's like not funny at all.
No, it's not. But I was trying to think of something. Like I was going to go insidious. But
that's not them.
Yeah, no, that's not them.
You're right.
Yeah. But
Malkillinit.
Nice. That's 2 words though.
Yeah, you could hyphen that.
Oh, okay. Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar. Who's the best player in the playoffs right now? Who's the best player? Who's the best player in the playoffs right now?
I would be open to the argument of Sidney Crosby.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He really is.
Yeah. I wouldn't fight anybody for saying
that. Nathan McKinnon's been amazing too. But Sidney Crosby, you can tell.
It's reductive to necessarily say who's the best sometimes.
Yeah.
But to say who would you be able to very adequately and valiantly argue? And Sidney Crosby is maybe top of that list.
Yeah, and he just looks like every shift he looks like a guy who is like on some kind of mission. You know, like really, like
your mission, if you choose to accept it, is
to try and get the puck off of Sidney Crosby, which you will never do.
Hit 14 people with your butt and then score on a backhander.
He's been otherworldly.
It's been talked about before, so I'm not like bringing up any huge revelatory piece of information, but on that goal in the triple overtime that Malkin scored, Crosby's shift on that goal was poetry on ice.
Yeah.
And
like he made an empty net goal look amazing with that pass. Did you see that pass?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and Gensel's feeling it right now.
Yeah.
It's you know.
So now I've got the same question or a similar question as I had with the Carolina Hurricanes, which is if Tristan Jarry, who is skating now, is set to return, do you give the net to him? Do you wait? What's Louis Domingue's leash?
I think Louis Domingues should be their guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? And it's not a long leash. Not with Louis Domingue.
No.
Antti Ranta should have a longer leash than Louis Domingue.
Yeah.
Because Louis Domingue, how many NHL games has he played in the last 3 years?
Games. Louis Domingue has been adequate.
Right.
In
How
games.
many? But again, like I could see Antti Ranta putting together a really good run here, and it wouldn't surprise me if he sustains it through the playoffs because he's good. Yeah. But Louis Domingue is, you assume that the bottom's going to fall out at some point. And if it does, and when it does, it could be really ugly.
It's a fair point. Domingue would, if he continues on this stretch, would remind me a little bit of Khudobin.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, we all knew that he was just fine.
Yeah.
And then he puts on a historic playoff performance out of nowhere for no apparent reason. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Just what we thought. And we still don't really have any clarity on Casey DeSmith. He left claiming cramps and then just literally haven't seen him again.
Yeah.
That's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. Final two is the Edmonton Oilers. Let's start there.
Yeah, you're gonna hate this one. If you hated Zabana bad, you're gonna hate this one.
Oh boy.
Hyman licked. As in they're choking. They are choking.
Oh boy.
How do you win games 2 and 3 by a combined score of 14-2?
Right.
And not win this series. This will be a huge choke job if the Edmonton Oilers lose this series.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that
they played for 15 minutes last night. They played for 15 minutes. They did. They played a 60 whatever minute game.
Yeah.
And for 15 of those minutes they played.
If you told me that after the first game Mike Smith would be actually not bad, then I would have said, well, I guess the Edmonton Oilers run away with this. I'm loving these hypotheticals today. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But if you told me that Mike Smith would be, just fine, one of the better versions of Mike Smith we've seen, then I'd be like, well, great. Yeah. Good for Edmonton getting a sweep because all they need is league average from their goalie. But boy, howdy. Are they ever screwing up on this one?
Well, to put out Kulak and Keith on the first, and I know Sheldon Keefe got roasted for putting Justin Holl out in the first for the first shift of game 4.
Right.
But to put out Duncan Keith and Brett Kulak for the first shift of overtime.
Yeah.
It defies it. Just like I just assumed Darnell Nurse was going to play all of the overtime.
And
like
he's
all
the guy
of it.
that can
he
do
wasn't going
it.
to come off the ice, right?
Yeah.
And they just got dummied. They just got dummied in overtime. Like it wasn't close.
Yeah.
Like Edmonton didn't have the puck.
But even Duncan Keith and Brett Kulak as a pairing defies logic.
Yeah.
Because Brett Kulak did not play well paired with David Savard.
Right.
Brett Kulak played very well paired with Jeff Petrie.
Right.
Who was Darnell Nurse, a better version of.
Yeah.
Jeff Petrie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
a guy like Duncan Keith, I mean, at this stage in his career, I'd like, he offers little.
I don't understand how you start and lean on those guys like that. Like, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to your team. Yeah.
But Ethan, not Ethan Bear, because he's on Carolina now.
Yeah. Cody Ceci, who? Yeah.
It's not a good defense core.
No, it's not.
It's not a good defense core.
It's terrible.
Is the bottom line to look
terrible.
at it, And I mean, they just didn't have the money. Brett Kulak is a good pickup for the money, but in reality, when you're looking at the defense core in the trade deadline, you're not circling Brett Kulak.
No.
He's one of those guys that an already good team picks up and it makes them better. And it's wow. It's
this is disgraceful. Like, if they lose this series, it's a disgrace.
A lot of parallels are made between the Oilers and the Maple Leafs for their top heavy contracts, for the fact the first overall picks, even with Matthews and McDavid, and for all of this stuff, and of course for their playoff choking, right? And if the Leafs lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning, I kind of go, okay.
I get it.
But if the Oilers lose to the Los Angeles Kings, all due respect to the Los Angeles Kings, buddy.
Yeah.
This is why I tried to radio Bob McKenzie.
This is for the taking.
Yeah.
And you're just giving it back. You're just giving it back.
All right. Well, last one on the list then, the Los Angeles Kings.
Kemped.
That's the best one. That's the best one of the
really?
day. Yeah, that's the best one of the day.
I didn't think it was that good.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Why don't you think it's that good?
Did it? I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Did Adrian Kempe have like the quietest?
You've been wrong before.
Yeah, I have many times. Did Adrian Kempe have the quietest 35 goals in NHL history this year?
Probably. But also that's partially a result of the fact that everybody was scoring a lot of goals this year.
Right. And he didn't have a lot of points. He only had he was Cy Young, right? He was 30, 35 and 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this guy is, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. Somebody asked me last night while we were watching the game, and it was another writer, so I'm not going to say who it is, but he said, when was he drafted? 2018? I said, no. He was drafted 2014.
Right.
He was in the Aaron Ekblad draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's a guy who is very, very opportunistic.
Right.
As this team is. I mean, Phil Deneau is, I mean, how do you explain that?
Phil Deneau has always had good offensive chops.
Yeah.
He's always been a good forechecker. He's always, he's an excellent forechecker.
Yeah.
He is, he's fast. He's an excellent skater. But the role that he was asked to play for the Montreal Canadiens was his defensive game.
Yep.
But there was clearly more to unlock. And if he's not playing, like last year in the playoffs, he played like 25 minutes a night, right? And it was because he was meant to shut down the other team's top two lines.
Right. Yeah.
He was basically a defensive pair. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so if you all of a sudden you put him into a situation where he can pick his matchup a little bit better, and of course Anze Kopitar, being another perennial Selke candidate, it's not surprising to me as a guy who's watched and covered the Montreal Canadiens that Phil Deneau is being offensive, because he's always had the chops, but starting every single shift in the defensive zone for the Montreal Canadiens doesn't exactly help, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a huge shock. I
mean, there was a point last year when you knew when he was out there, you were getting nothing. Yeah. You were getting no offense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a given. You weren't getting, he may shut down the other team, but you're getting nothing.
Yeah. But it was because his line was Lehkonen, Paul Byron or something that, right?
Yeah.
It's just three guys that are, some of the three most defensively responsible guys in the league. But Deneau is a true two-way player.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I find when a player is called a two-way player, what they really mean is a defensive player.
Right. Right.
That happens to be a forward.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But Deneau is a true two-way player.
He really is.
And he is being unlocked as such right now. He's got 3 goals in the series.
5 points.
Yeah. 2 assists.
Yep.
And his line has been the talk of the town.
Yep.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, we should talk about Barry Trotz. And before we talk about Barry Trotz, don't forget, leave a review. Check out kencampbell.substack.com, Hockey Unfiltered, the writing portion. And, of course, don't forget to check out our live streams and stay tuned to Twitter at Hockey No Filter, where we will be announcing other live streams if and when we decide to do them. You guys better make them fun, or else we're never going to do that again.
I don't even understand what we're doing, so I'll just go along for the ride.
You sit there,
right,
and we'll watch
and
hockey there,
stupid things,
and you talk to me here,
right? Okay,
yeah. So I think that those are tasks we can handle. So let's talk about Barry Trotz is fired.
Yep.
Thoughts? Yeah. Thoughts on Trotz?
10 months ago, the New York Islanders were one shorthanded goal in Game 7 away from going to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
This is Lou being Lou. The only thing I can think of, and like Lou Lamoriello says, I didn't talk to the players about this. I would never talk to the players about that.
Yeah.
You had exit meetings, bro. You had exit meetings.
Yeah, but his wording is, I didn't consult the players on this.
Right.
So maybe he didn't say, hey, Anders Lee, how do you feel about if I were to fire Barry Trotz? But if Anders Lee is saying, hey, man, I don't like Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
Then
I don't think it's a matter of not liking him. I think it's a matter of, as I talked about with Dallas, it's playing a brand of hockey that's not fun.
Right.
It's not fun. Like Matt Barzal, I can't imagine is like, oh yeah, I'm all over this.
I got some really bad news for you then. Lou Lamoriello does not look like a fun guy.
Yeah. But that's the
I would be fired.
That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing I can think of is that the players just got tired of playing this style of play. Because it's not fun. It's not glamorous. It's not the kind of play, like style of play where you can walk in your contract year and go, look what I produced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's not what you do. You're not in your backyard, as a kid.
Yeah.
Going, and he back checked to prevent the game-winning goal.
We're always on the right side of the puck. Good for us. So I get that. But this team is fundamentally flawed. Like they're so up against the cap.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have 9 guys who are over 30.
Yeah.
7 guys over 30 who are under contract beyond next season.
Yeah, I think I'm basing this off of nothing. I've heard rumors about it, but they're not substantiated or founded, right? So we won't even call them rumors. They're just gossip, right? But I think that Barry Trotz wanted out. I think that the only reason why that happens, and maybe Lou wanted to save face or whatever the conversation might have been, it certainly, despite what the narrative was around it, I think it looked bad on Paul Maurice to turn around and say, I'm out of here.
Yeah. And
I think that Barry Trotz wanted out, and I think that Lou obliged him, because the fact is that one of the reasons why they had a losing season was because of COVID.
That was a huge reason.
One of the reasons
that derailed their season. That derailed their entire season.
What about the road trip to start?
Yeah. So they played 50 games in 99 days at the end of the season. At the end
of the season.
50 games in 99 days. That's more than a game every other night.
But the road trip that to start the season.
Yeah.
Who's responsible for putting the team in an arena?
Right.
The general manager.
Well, there's dates and you got to work.
No, I know, of course, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
This is a new rink. This is their rink. Their new home. You'd think they would have had prime dates, right?
Right.
Yeah. You know what? That's
or at least rented out their old barn for a few nights. Like it's not like it doesn't exist anymore.
That's not. Yeah, but you're not going to do that. No, that's not outlandish. That maybe this was orchestrated by Barry Trotz, because he essentially did the same thing in Washington. He orchestrated his own departure in Washington.
Yeah, he didn't take the option.
Yeah.
There was an option that would have given him like a $500,000 raise or something along those lines, and he said, "I'm worth more than that. If you want me to stick around, then we need to do a new contract."
Yeah,
and there was sort of a mutual parting of the ways there. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, because what's his name is up in the air right now as well. Bruce Boudreau. A team needs to hire Bruce Boudreau for the regular season and Barry Trotz for the playoffs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you? I feel like you could have a Pee Wee AAA team and they'd win the Stanley Cup if you had Boudreau for the regular season and Trotz for the playoffs.
Maybe. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because Barry Trotz will have...
Little Tommy Lou had himself a career year under Bruce Boudreau, and he's only 12 years old.
It'll be interesting to see what happens here, because Barry Trotz will end up wherever Barry Trotz wants to end up, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it's Detroit or Winnipeg or a team that underachieves in these playoffs. And
I doubt it's Detroit. I don't know why. I just don't think it's Detroit.
Yeah, okay. They'll make a push for him. You don't think working with Steve Yzerman has some real appeal to it?
He won his Stanley Cup with the best goal scorer of a generation on his team. And there is a new best goal scorer of a generation on a team that might not get out of the first round again.
Yeah.
A team that...
There's two of them.
Well, yeah.
There's two of them right
Technically,
now.
yes.
There's two of them right now.
Yeah. I think that having him on the Leafs, the thing is that Washington had one of the best offenses in the NHL the year that they won the cup under Barry Trotz. Mm-hmm. And so this idea of Trotz can't coach offense, I think is more that Trotz was not given a team that allowed him to have any offense.
Yeah.
And I wonder similarly about Bruce Boudreau. I wonder if many of the playoff failures, quote unquote, were because he had the team so overachieving in the regular season that there were unrealistic expectations on that team.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems
in Minnesota specifically, not in Washington.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. My point is that I think that Trotz can coach offense. Mm-hmm. I think that he basically told Ovechkin, do whatever you want to do. Right? You go score the goals. Let me work with the schlubs and deal with that.
But Ovechkin also won that cup when he was more committed to the other side of the puck. And I think what Trotz would have said to him was, pretend you care about defense, take care of at least, do the bare minimum, and then you can freelance all you want.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying, which is that he struck that balance of not quashing Ovechkin's offense in favor of defense. This is not John Tortorella telling the Sedin twins to block shots.
Right.
And so I wonder, if you look at Toronto's roster on paper, it's a good roster.
It's the best they've ever had.
Yeah. And you don't think that a guy like Trotz, who has turned nobodies into defensive dynamos, could whip that defense into shape, and specifically that bottom six?
You don't think that if the Leafs get out of the first round, that you still think they might be looking for somebody? I don't.
Let me ask you something. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to answer your question with a question. Mm-hmm. If Edmonton says that Connor McDavid is available, does 31 of 31 possible teams line up and say, take whatever you want?
Yeah. Okay.
Is Barry Trotz the Connor McDavid of coaching? No, but I don't think that he's that far off.
Yeah. Well, there's a point there. It'll be interesting to see what they do in Long Island too, and in New York. Because
Torts is going there for sure.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
You know who my actual pick is?
Babcock.
So I thought about Babcock.
And you know what? Because
I thought about Carlisle.
I think, you know, and I'm just reading tea leaves here. Lou does what Lou wants to do. And Lou obviously doesn't care about optics because look what he just did.
Right.
You know? Yeah. For a guy who always says team first, sometimes he kind of becomes bigger than the team himself, which is kind of weird. Yeah. And I just don't think he cares. I mean, Mike Babcock is probably toxic, but you know what? Like, Lou won't. If anybody would give this guy a chance,
it's Lou Lamoriello.
It might be Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, I think you might be right on that one.
Yeah.
Babcock, I kind of joked with a friend privately about Ducharme.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
All right, listen, Trotz did not clamp things down defensively enough. We need Dominic Ducharme on the team. So,
right.
But it's a perplexing one, but I just think that there's no way that after this season, like a season that has like 4 excuses that could sink a team.
Yep.
There's no way that after this season you're firing the coach.
It's odd. Yeah.
It's perplexing to say the least. So, like I said, it's the most unsubstantiated rumor of all time.
If it was anybody else, you'd say that, but it's Lou Lamoriello, and Lou does what Lou wants to do.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, thanks for sticking around to the end of this episode. Check out Ken's writing, and you can get this episode directly in your inbox, kencampbell.substack.com. Check us out on Twitter at HockeyNoFilter, at Ken_Campbell27, and at _Dylan Waugh. Dylan like Bob and Waugh like Evelyn. And, of course, feel free to check us out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a comment or review. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.